A dog is foaming at the mouth and it's already bitten someone. A woman is running through the streets of Paris, carrying her 9-year-old son. She runs straight past the hospital. Because the man she's going to isn't a doctor. He has no license, no legal right to treat a human being. His name is Louis Pasteur. And what he's about to attempt has never worked on a person before. Not once. She pounds on his door. Inside, Pasteur examines the boy. 14 bites, some down to the muscle. He knows exactly what disease this is. Rabies. It can hide silently inside the body for weeks. The victim looks completely healthy, until the day they aren't. Then come the spasms, the paralysis, and a fear of water so severe patients can't even swallow their own saliva. Once those symptoms start, there is no cure. There never has been. This isn't even Pasteur's first attempt at stopping it. And the last time, it didn't go the way he hoped. To understand why he's willing to risk this now, you have to go back 20 years. His daughter Jeanne died of typhoid fever. She was 9 years old. His youngest, Camille, didn't live to see her 3rd birthday. Then his daughter Cécile died of typhoid, too, barely a year later. 3 children, 3 funerals, and medicine had no answers for any of it. In 1868, Pasteur's own body turned on him. A stroke. It paralyzed the entire left side of his body. He was 46. Doctors expected him to retire. Instead, he picked up a cane and went back to work. Because Pasteur believed something almost no one else did. Disease wasn't caused by bad air, like most doctors still taught. It was caused by something invisible, living, real. He wasn't even a physician. He was a chemist. And they mocked him for it. So in 1881, he decided to prove it where failure couldn't be hidden. 50 sheep, half vaccinated, half left completely unprotected. Then every single one was injected with a lethal dose of anthrax. 2 days later, the crowd came back to see who was still alive. Every unvaccinated sheep lay dead in the field. Every vaccinated sheep stood there, untouched. The crowd erupted. Overnight, Pasteur became one of the most famous scientists in Europe. But the disease that actually kept him up at night wasn't anthrax. For years, his team worked with infected dogs and rabbits, searching for a weakened version of the virus. One the body could learn to fight before the real infection took hold. It worked. In animals. Then a mother knocked on his door, carrying a 9-year-old boy. Pasteur couldn't legally treat Joseph himself, so he called in 2 physicians to make the decision with him. If they did nothing, the boy would almost certainly die. If they gave the treatment, no one could promise it would work at all. There had already been 2 human attempts before this one. One outcome was unclear, the other was not. The room went silent. Then they decided. They would begin. July 6th. Joseph rolled up his sleeve for the first injection. No celebration, just 3 men hoping they weren't making a fatal mistake. The next day, a second injection, slightly stronger, then a third, a fourth. Because somewhere inside Joseph's body, the real virus was still moving, racing the treatment to his brain. No test on earth could tell them who was winning. Every morning, Pasteur checked on him himself. Rumors were already spreading through Paris. Some hoped he'd succeed. Others were certain he'd finally gone too far. There was nothing left to do but wait. And the waiting was worse than any of the injections. Days passed. Joseph didn't develop a fever. He didn't develop a single symptom. He laughed. He played. He ran through fields like any other 9-year-old boy. On July 16th, he received his final injection, and then nothing happened. Which was, for the first time in recorded history, exactly the point. Someone bitten by a rabid animal had survived. Word spread across France within days, then across Europe. People began traveling hundreds of miles just to reach this one small lab. Patients lined up outside, more arriving every week than Pasteur could see. In his private notes, he confessed something he never said publicly. "Why can't I help them? We are losing them. 500 faces. It terrifies me." The success was starting to feel like its own kind of burden. Among the patients was a 15-year-old shepherd named Jean-Baptiste Jupille. He'd wrestled a rabid dog to the ground with his bare hands to protect 5 younger children. Pasteur treated him the same way. Injection by injection. He survived too. Now there was no denying it. The treatment worked. That support built the Institut Pasteur in 1887. A statue still stands at its entrance today, not of Pasteur, of Jupille. And Joseph? He grew up, and he came back to work at the very institute that saved him. He spent most of his adult life as its gatekeeper, welcoming strangers the same way he was once welcomed in. Then, in 1940, Germany occupied Paris. According to the most widely told account, soldiers demanded he open Pasteur's tomb. What happened next is still debated by historians, but we know this: Joseph Meister died that same day. The boy who once had 48 hours to live spent the rest of his life guarding the man who gave them to him. We remember Louis Pasteur for a word stamped on a milk carton. Almost no one remembers the mother who ran past a hospital toward a man with no right to help her son, or that he took the risk anyway. That's the story milk cartons don't tell you. Subscribe if you want the next one, and tell me whose story we should uncover next.